This is Load Bearing Beams Movie Podcast. I'm Matt Stokes.
And I'm Lacey Roth.
We got married 12 years ago.
Newlyweds.
This is a podcast telling you the story of us, bringing you along on the journey.
One movie at a time.
Think of this as a public access television show.
Oh.
You know, I gotta say, Lacey, this is the first time I've watched Wayne's World since I could bring my own experience working in public access television into my viewing.
Wow.
And really assess, what do they get right and wrong about that world?
I don't know. You never did it in your basement before, but all right.
No, when they go into the proper studio.
Yeah,
the studio.
Oh my God.
Party. We're here to party, everybody. Still Canadian, Lacey and I. Happy to talk about...
And Catholic.
We're Canadian. And Catholic, yes. Yeah. We're Canadian Catholics, a very specific kind of Canadian. But how y'all doing? Let me know. Let me hear it. So this is a podcast where we do a deep dive into a movie, the history of the making of the movie, and then we go through the movie and celebrate it, make fun of it, mock it, question it, celebrate it again. It's all out of love, you know?
The typical formula is that we each pick a movie that is important to us, something foundational, something load-bearing, if you will. And we just hope like heck that our partner also likes the movie and it's not complete shit after all these years. And this is the first time in a good while that we're doing a true load-bearing beam.
Of yours. This was your pick.
Mine.
You recently said we've never done Wayne's World. We have to do Wayne's World.
It's pretty, I'm very confused as to how it took this long to get to it, but.
Well, we used to, the format for how we pick movies now is like, yeah, we want to have a strong opinion of it. And what do we think would make a good conversation? When we were stricter with our rules, I would say that doesn't count because I've seen Wayne's World.
Right.
Now I saw it twice maybe as a young man. Austin Powers was a legit load-bearing beam for me, and you go back into the archives, hear one of our earliest episodes. We did like one 40-minute episode on all three Austin Powers movies, most of which is probably just clips from the movies. So honestly, go listen to it. You'll be like, hey, that's fun.
I remember that episode being good.
Because of the clips. We're just listening to clips and be like, ha ha ha, yes.
We've never done that before.
No. But I was like a dumb kid who was like, I love Austin Powers. Maybe I should check out the Wayne's World movies.
Yeah.
Never made that connection in my head. I think maybe I was a little older that I saw both Wayne's World movies. Thought they were very funny.
And
that's it. That's my story.
Well, and that's good because you would be a little bit younger than, I'd say, because Mike Myers and Dana Carvey here are doing an impression of something that's just a bit older than we were to begin with. So I might have been the last vestige of people who remember people like this in my life. So the parody they're doing, or like the kind of person they're supposed to be, I had a cousin just like this. So I don't know. I think it probably, this was a bit that leaned into the culture at the time. And, there's many moments in the movie where it's like, you're not going to get these. Not everyone's going to get these references.
I'm glad you brought this up because it was the first time that it occurred to me. And when you're 14 years old, and 14 is probably the perfect age to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And I wish we had watched this with our 14-year-old to get their reaction to it. But I'm 14 years old in, 2002 or whatever. I am not viewing this as they are spoofing a specific personality type or a moment in time. But I also didn't, like, when I saw Austin Powers at a younger age, I didn't know it was a parody of James Bond. I was like, it's just a funny movie.
Right. And that's Mike Myers' thing. He typically goes in for a big, I don't know. Well, because he's SNL, right? And sometimes he thinks in skits.
Doing a deep dive into how this all developed. He started this long before SNL. He was playing Wayne Campbell on Canadian TV, and with each jump up from Canadian TV to SNL, they're like, well, are Americans going to get this character? Like, isn't he a specific Canadian character? And then we see like, no, this is just kind of universal. Yeah. Whatever it is, that's just lovable slacker metal guy.
It's that, and it's very Gen X, and it's like, you're kind of aging out of this, but you've somehow found like a niche here. Public access TV guy, that would be probably probably a little too niche, but I could see like a guy becoming like radio famous, like he's like a local celebrity, and so he's doing a type of person, but he's also doing a type of that person who's actually being celebrated and not like pitied or anything. Little hometown hero. Everybody knows him. Everybody supports him. I forgot how nice this movie is, which makes sense why I watched it so many times. Everyone just loves everyone.
It's a very nice movie.
It's a sweetheart.
So the way that it evolved on SNL was, I think canonically they were teenagers and then aged them up. But I think that you were never supposed to think about the reality of like, what is actually going on here? It's just because all you are supposed to see is the TV show Wayne's World on SNL, which until yesterday had never watched. And now I've watched a bunch of them. Okay.
Yeah, I definitely watched a few of them. This wasn't exactly my, because I came in around Will Ferrell.
So later.
A little bit later. I'd say it's a generation after this one. Not so much later.
Now the movie itself though, do you have any memories about seeing it for the first time? Or
tell me the year it came out.
92.
God, that'd be a bit before consistent movie going. This wouldn't have been something I went to my mom wouldn't have thought this was for me. And the way I found this was through my dad, and my dad just found it hilarious, which I never brought it. I can't think of anything else that I have ever brought to my dad, and he was like he approved of it. And it just kind of became our staple. Anytime I went over there, we're watching this.
This is the case where watching this movie, and again, for me, probably it had been 20 years or more. Yes, definitely more than 20 years since I had seen this movie. We watched it separately, which we don't usually do. You watched it first and you came to me and you said, I think you're going to like it. And I think that what you're going to like is how sweet they are, because weirdly, that's your thing about comedies is you just want men to be sweet to each other.
There's a certain kind, though. There's this like acceptance between Wayne and Garth. Like Garth is clearly, we wouldn't have had words for it then, but he seems, on the spectrum. And like Wayne just totally gets it and celebrates it and like goes with it. He normalizes Garth in a way where Garth would not get to be socially so normalized alone. I think it's really nice.
Well, then maybe the reason you don't like Beavis and Butthead, which, and this is wrong of you to dislike them, but because Beavis loves Butthead, but Butthead hates Beavis. Beavis is the Garth to Butthead's Wayne, but Wayne is not a benevolent like big brother figure here. Butthead is evil and conniving and thinks that he is smarter and superior to Beavis.
That's stinky.
I invite you to watch Beavis and Butthead again, and we will do it for the show soon. Well, maybe not soon, the fall.
I know that's the closest comparison to what these two guys are, but yeah.
And Bill and Ted.
Yeah. I remember being annoyed by Bill and Ted. I would revisit it, though. If that were someone's load-bearing baby, I'd be interested in, because I have no memory except for going, shut up.
Although I guess what is missing from here is drugs.
Yes, I would have sworn they did drugs, like just because how they act, but it's completely absent from this. Even alcohol.
That's how you get the $180 million worldwide. Is none of that.
But they don't need it.
No, they don't need it.
The only time alcohol is mentioned is because Wayne's like, man, you're partying too hard, to his friend. Do you know who that friend is?
I forgot.
It's okay. The one that's always forgetting because he's so drunk or whatever. I'm almost positive that is the fucking guy they're chasing around in Hocus Pocus. That's the like zombie boyfriend. I'm like, why does he look so haunting? I think he literally played a dead guy.
Now the guy you're thinking of from Hocus Pocus, his name is Doug Jones.
How do you know that's not?
Because he's a famous makeup guy.
God, but he's such a distinctly odd looking person.
Everybody in this movie is somebody.
Meatloaf's in here?
Yeah, he plays a doorman bouncer. Let's see. We have Michael DeLuise as Alan, one of their crew. We have Lee Turgeson as Terry.
Yeah, not him.
And we have Dan Bell as Neil.
No, it's none of the people that work on the show. It's the mechanic.
Sean Gregory Sullivan works at the auto
partied
repair
out.
shop.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah, but look at him. Okay, fine. This is not interesting. I really thought I got him.
So you nailed it. Yeah, that is one of the things I like. Although there is an interesting, you can almost feel Dana Carvey's resentment via Garth kind of almost bursting out of the screen of like, I'm here too, and I'm valuable. And Mike Myers is steamrolling everything. And I remember being a 14-year-old and being like, I wish Garth would do more. Garth's very funny.
Yeah, but then when the camera goes on him, he's like, look over there.
No, I know.
Okay, but wait, you're saying, so you did the history segment. Are you saying there is something to this that Dana Carvey did feel like a second banana?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're armed in an unfair way, sir.
But even before knowing that, but I did know like Mike Myers is notoriously like a very difficult man.
I didn't know that.
To work with.
I did not know that.
And that Dana Carvey has always resented Mike Myers for stealing his Lorne Michaels impression and using it for Dr. Evil.
Oh.
Which I always thought, like, really? It's just, just like that. But like, when you then make billions of dollars on that character, maybe you do feel a little resentment.
And Dana Carvey's like infamously known for a big project that failed miserably, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was too funny to fail. Wasn't that him? Or is that no?
Master of Disguise.
Master of Disguise. No, I'm thinking of Martin Short, I think.
Okay.
Right? He did like a spoof fucking Tonight Show, and it was just like it bombed. It was like Late Night with Glick or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I get those two confused.
The other thing that you said was, this is a case where if you don't like this movie, I will actually get upset with you.
Well, I could see a world where you didn't like this. I guess it's not that serious, but like I enjoyed it so freaking much. I just couldn't imagine how I could be so wrong. Like I wasn't laughing for nostalgia. Nostalgia doesn't make me laugh. Mm-hmm. I was laughed out loud several times to this movie.
I heard you. I laughed out loud once, but you know, I mean, comedy is like horror. It's like, that's why they're sister genres. They're about eliciting a physiological response in you that you can't control.
Right.
I'm either scared and shivering or I'm laughing.
Well, because we're all triggered by different things. Things are going to strike a chord with us that I can't nail down my sense of humor. I think I really, really like a certain thing and then I see it and I'm like, I guess I don't. It's not all, it's alchemy.
But, you know, I love horror movies, but I hardly ever get scared. So it's not like I was laughing my ass off. But this movie's irresistible. It's so lovable. I love these guys. I think it's really well directed. Keeps up this just sprightly like energy throughout.
They even skip.
And just gets out of there before there's like even a chance for any of it to wear its welcome out.
It's like little vignettes. It just changes scenery constantly.
Mm-hmm. And really has the confidence to just end. It just ends right when it's time.
Yep.
When you even think like, we could have spent a few more minutes in here. Nope, it's over.
The soundtrack is great though, right? Like every fucking song in it is, I love every song Cassandra sings. Mm-hmm. And I love the Alice Cooper part, and I love the Bohemian Rhapsody part. Mm-hmm. It's fantastically soundtracked.
And the thing that I'm really impressed with now, having watched all the sketches, is how well you could take. Because I think I prefer the sketches to the movie.
I need to go back and revisit those.
But it's so impressive that they're able to take the sketch and actually turn it into a functional movie.
Fan the world, yeah.
To something that seems like it should be impossible.
Yeah, like what were Garth and Wayne like really striving to do with this? What do their friends look like? What does the community think about them? Because you picture these two nerdy idiots in their basement and you're like, does anyone like you in your hometown though? I think I was saying DJ would be like the thing I could think actually being this hometown fame vibe. But I think what I'm actually thinking of is musicians that kind of catch on locally, especially in the rock scene, how they're just like, yeah, okay, party. Like, I don't know. They just seem like believable guys.
Who everyone loves. They just can't help but
love them. But they don't have a lot of money. Yeah. Fame without the money.
All right, history of Wayne's World. There will be a lot of reading, Lacey, because I got a lot of good stuff.
God, I want him to be aborted. Oh,
what are you looking at?
I'm looking at a young picture of Michael Myers, and I hate him. What? I can just tell he's obnoxious. I feel like everyone's been in the room with someone who's like destined to be a comedian. Like truly, like every single thing they say is a bit. They don't stop. Like they're using you to like bounce material off of, but you're trying to have a conversation. It is excruciating. And I've been around two people like this. And I can see it in him.
But he is playing a character here. He's playing Wayne.
Okay, I'm completely biased by what you already said, but there's something in me that just feels him like, guys, film this. And there's like hours of footage of him getting it right.
I think character comedians, your Jim Carreys, probably have to be unbearable to actually be around in person.
And I didn't know that until I met a couple people, and I'm like, I get how this it has to be so big. The way, like I saw Julia Roberts in person, and she was a skeleton with a giant mouth. And then on camera, she's perfectly proportioned. It's just like everything has to be extreme in real life to like even register on TV. So like, yeah, that's how hard it is to entertain. You have to be extreme and unbearable just to be
and why people
TV.
should, think or care or feel however you're going to feel. But to me, it's like, I don't totally care what a person is like in their real life. I care about what I see on the screen. They're working for me. Do work for me. Entertain me, clown.
Right.
Tom Cruise, you're hiding Shelley Miscavige's body somewhere. I don't care. Make the Mission Impossible movies. Allegedly. So there's tons of great resources on Wayne's World, but I will primarily be using the 2019 article on The Ringer by Alan Siegel. Now, Alan Siegel has a Simpsons book coming out next month that I'm very excited to read. He's been making the interview circuit. Anyway, Michael John Myers was born in 1963 in Scarborough, Ontario. Scarborough is either a suburb of Toronto or a district within it. I can't totally understand or tell. Listeners up in T-Dot, let us know, because put this in American for us. Be like, it's like Brooklyn, like something like that. Okay, but on our early Austin Powers episode, we were kind of diagnosing Mike Myers and learning about his personality, and he has these parents who moved to Canada from England, from Liverpool, and he, like, as a personality is torn between his sort of suburban Canadian side and his English parents, especially his cool, like, mod groovy English dad who inspires Austin Powers. And then when he moves to America, he is now pulled by a third way, his American celebrity persona. But if Austin Powers represents the English id of Mike Myers, then Wayne is clearly the Canadian id.
For sure.
I remember reading in 2017 an article that made me realize that to Canadians watching Wayne's World, like they see it and see Americans don't realize this is all supposed to be Canada. They're saying this is Illinois, but this is obviously Canada. So I went and tracked it down and I found the article. The article is by Greg Hudson. It's in a Canadian magazine called Sharp Magazine. The title of the article is Gentle Reminder, Wayne's World was and will always be a totally Canadian thing. Quote, in the film, Wayne and Garth are from Aurora, Illinois, but that never felt right. As if, Wayne might say, are we really supposed to believe that even the most hockey understanding Americans ever played street hockey? Do they know to shout car and that donut shop? Tell me that's not a stand-in for a Tim Hortons. Wayne's always been from Scarborough. Like thousands of dreamers before and after him, he just hid his roots to make it big. Oh. End quote. Mike Myers was a child actor appearing in commercials and Canadian TV shows. He joined the Canadian touring company of Second City, trained as an improviser, went to the UK to join an improv group, went back to Toronto to join the main Second City show, started appearing on Canadian sketch TV shows where he debuted the character of Wayne Campbell. And then on the CBC show, It's Only Rock and Roll, he had a recurring segment called Wayne's Power Minute. We're going to watch one of Wayne's Power Minutes.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Wayne Campbell, and this is my Power Minute. All right. You know, a lot of people come up to me and they say, hey, Wayne, you're heavily metallic. How come you don't play an instrument? Well, of course I do. Air guitar. Which leads me to a really interesting point. Okay, you got air guitars, right? Well, how come you don't have air drums or air synthesizers air roadies or air managers or air record company executives or air rednecks in small towns who hassle you because they think, you know, you're hitting on their chick, say. Right? Well, okay, what point? Well, my point is, air anything other than guitar is completely toolish. I mean, air violin? Yeah, right. I'm sorry, it's pale, it's bucket, it just doesn't work. So, the way I see it is, to air is human, to wail is divine. I'm Wayne Campbell, this is my Power Minute. All right.
So, what do we think?
It's fine. It's cable access.
Well, it's not cable. I mean, it's like a national show.
It's
but,
national. I get it. He's adorable.
But he is both fully Wayne, as we know him in the movie, but he is also seems like way more specifically
super Canadian.
You're supposed to watch him and be like, yeah, I know people like that. Whereas now it's like, what the fuck is this? Who is he parodying or who is he making fun of? I don't know. But it works. You like him.
Yeah.
It just needs a little something else to be funny, I think.
A little Garth.
So in 1989, Mike Myers joins Saturday Night Live and brings Wayne with him, where SNL pairs him with Dana Carvey to make a sketch out of his Wayne character. Now, Dana Carvey is 7 years older than Mike Myers, I believe.
Okay.
He had been on SNL for 2 years. He'd already become famous for The Church Lady and for George Bush. And he based the character of Garth on his brother, Brad.
Oh.
I think we've said this many times on the show, but you're an SNL person. I'm not.
Right.
And apologies to everyone.
It's okay.
For
we accept
being an SNLologist, for not knowing all this SNL lore that I'm sure you've like even giving the history of Wayne. It's like, well, you didn't mention he played him on this 1984 sketch show. And it's like, there's so much there. Anyway, to just kind of try to learn all of this in a few days.
I think you're giving the regular Joe a little capsule of what it is. Where did Wayne come from? I think you're doing just fine.
Thank you.
I don't think experts are spelunking our show and trying to make sure we're staying on script. Don't worry.
Maybe a Rob Lowe will discover our show though and bring us big time, and then
you mean exploit our show? What we need is a other guy in the back of a car. I can't think of his name. Mr. Big, whatever his name.
Keep waiting for Mr. Big. So the first Wayne's World sketch airs on February 18th, 1989. Cannot find it on YouTube. Went on the Internet Archive and all I could find was a script. But there's lots of Wayne's World sketches. It became very popular. There were 17 Wayne's World segments from 1989 through 1992. And then they did one in 93, one in 94, then one in 2011, and one in 2015.
Oh.
What's your question?
I'm sorry. Is Ed Harris Canadian?
No.
We can, because he's not Ed Harris. Al Bundy. Tell me his name.
Ed O'Neill?
Ed O'Neill. Is
Let's see. He would appear in Wayne's World sketches and then.
Oh, okay.
No, he's American.
Okay. Because I was going to say, it's so interesting that the lowest they'll take a Canadian down is fucking Chicago because Chicago is also where Married with Children takes place.
Oh, okay. It's the Canada of America.
Okay. I was just saying, because the accent still works. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, I have it. Yep. Dan. Don't I know it?
All right, well, how about a movie? Let's make it into a movie. Lorne Michaels had been trying and failing to move into movie production for a long time. Have you ever heard of a movie, Nothing Lasts Forever?
Not based off the title.
Okay, so this is a famously never released movie that he produced. It was produced for $3 million, co-stars Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd in supporting roles. Zach Galligan from Gremlins is the lead.
Huh.
And this movie never got released. So that was his first production. His second production was Three Amigos, which he also wrote. And that was a relative disappointment.
I loved it.
And then 6 years would go by without him producing another movie.
I gotta think, and I feel like we talked about someone recently about this. That's just doing so well with the thing he's doing. Why even go through the bullshit of what it is to make a movie? And to just even feel that frustration of the fact that you can get so far into a project and it still does not get released. Doesn't seem like someone like Lorne Michaels would have the fucking time or gamble to do it over and over again if he didn't. Good thing he got it out of the garage on the second try.
Although it was the Three Amigos was a disappointment, box office disappointment.
But at least all the work was seen by people.
At least it was seen. I don't know if Nothing Lasts Forever. If he himself sat on that, he's the reason it didn't get released. It is very rare for a movie to just be finished and just never see the light of day.
Yeah.
Or at least was rare back then. Now the government likes it when you do that. They give you money to do that.
Tax haven.
Yep. A Wayne's World movie would be the first Lorne Michaels movie production in 6 years. Also the first movie based on an SNL sketch since the Blues Brothers in 1980.
Oh.
But he gets his production deal, and this begins a long stretch of him producing movies starring SNL alums, A Night at the Roxbury, Tommy Boy.
I remember getting
Superstar.
Tommy Boy. Tommy Boy is based on something that's a SNL skit?
Starring in SNL.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I remember starting to get it. I wouldn't always be pumped that a skit was being made into a movie. It just didn't always. Anyway, they weren't a sure thing. Is my point. I can't think of any that like I hated, but it took me a long time to appreciate Night at the Roxbury, and then once I did, I fucking loved it. I think Megan Shannon's was
Molly Shannon.
That's her mother, Megan. I remember liking that one right away. Who else also? God, there's probably a million of them.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, Corky Romano, was that one that was a sketch, or was that just?
I don't think it was a sketch.
Is that one? No. Oh, and then the Dana Carvey, yes, the one we just talked about. Just there might be equal flops to like actual good movies.
I think they're well known to be mostly
bad.
Yeah.
So it's probably the affection I have for them is because of my intense love of the actors and the characters and what they did on SNL.
So he approaches Mike Myers about doing a Wayne's World movie. Mike Myers, you will get to write the script, but we're also going to bring in some experienced screenwriters. The husband and wife writing team of Bonnie and Terry Turner joined the SNL writers room in 1986. They would later go on to create Third Rock from the Sun and That 70s Show. The final screenplay for Wayne's World is credited to them and to Mike Myers. Now, who shall direct? Well, Penelope Spheeris is the director of Wayne's World. Lorne Michaels had known her for a long time. She was a documentarian working in Los Angeles, and he hired her to produce Albert Brooks's short films that he made for SNL. Mm-hmm. And she made this very famous documentary about the Los Angeles punk scene called The Decline of Western Civilization. And she says she thinks it was her connection to the music scene is why they thought of her to direct Wayne's World.
They needed Alice Cooper.
She made several narrative films after the documentaries. She made The Boys Next Door, co-starring Charlie Sheen and Maxwell Caulfield, aka Sexy Rexy.
Oh, yeah.
Now this movie, I'm just bringing this up because this movie was written by Glenn Morgan and James Wong, who wrote
crazy.
Final Destination.
What the fuck?
There are no coincidences.
Oh my God. We do really leapfrog, though. I feel like we always find a type. But you know what we're all finding out is that every single industry is this big. Yeah. It's tiny. It's just Kevin Bacon.
But I love going through these weird 80s movies and being like, I've never heard of any of these movies, and then showing them to you and you're like, oh yeah.
No, I don't know this one. This one looks too sexy.
She directed Suburbia, Hollywood Vice Squad, and Dudes before getting the Wayne's World job. So she told The Ringer in 2019, quote, "People, especially young filmmakers, come to me and say, how did you do it? How did you do it? I was 45 years old when I did Wayne's World. I had been virtually broke up until that time. And so I became a multimillionaire overnight. They gave me a righteous percentage of the box office. They didn't know it was going to be successful."
Right.
End quote.
Righteous.
Now, famously, she and Mike Myers clashed. She's one of the people you point to as like, Mike Myers seems really difficult to work with. Quote, this is from The Ringer. Quote, "Over the past nearly 3 decades, countless stories have circulated about the tension between Spheeris and Myers during the making of Wayne's World." And this is a quote from Spheeris. Quote with, how do you say that? Quote within quote. "I always say I had to shoot the movie a few different ways. I shot it Mike's way. I shot it Dana's way. I shot it my way.
Oh, God.
Sometimes I shot it the Bonnie, Terry, and Lorne way. But I knew that when I got into the editing room, I could put it together the way that I wanted. And that's what I did." End quote.
Shit.
Then in 2008, Entertainment Weekly did a profile on Mike Myers right before The Love Guru came out. It was like, Mike Myers is back, poised to have his biggest hit ever, The Love Guru.
Jesus Christ. Wrong.
But this article was like, however, lots of people in Hollywood don't like him. All right, quote, "Still, the fact is, within Hollywood, not everyone is cheering for Myers to succeed. Since early in his career, the actor has been tagged with a reputation for being difficult to work with, moody, controlling, and arrogant. That description could, of course, fit many actors and filmmakers, but the degree of enmity directed toward Myers by some who've worked with him, even years after the fact, is rare. Says one executive who has had a rocky relationship with Myers, I honestly root against him." Penelope Spheeris, who directed Myers in his first film, the 1992 smash Wayne's World, says she has shared word stories with others who have worked with the actor. And she said, maybe he could open like a children's hospital to clean up his rep. She jokes darkly. He's got to do something pretty quick. Directing her first studio film, Spheeris found herself struggling to prop up Myers' often dark moods. One day, infuriated that there was no margarine for his bagel, only butter, Myers, who, according to several sources, said he suffered from hypoglycemia, stormed off the set. Myers' rep denies he's hypoglycemic.
Okay. That's not really the thing to deny, Rep.
He was emotionally needy and got more difficult as the shoot went along, Spheeris said. You could have heard him bitching when I was trying to do that Bohemian Rhapsody scene. I can't move my neck like that. Why do we have to do this so many times? No one's going to laugh at that. To manage Myers' moods, Spheeris put her daughter in charge of making sure he had whatever snack he needed at any given moment. To this day, I have this image of her sitting on this little cooler looking at me like, Mom, I fucking hate you. End quote.
That's interesting because he's difficult in a way that I didn't expect you to say. Like, he just sounds like a child. Like a very opinionated child, and I mean, low blood sugar is a thing. I mean, if he was hyperglycemic, it really does change.
But his reps denied that he's hyperglycemic.
Wait, because he's not a pussy. So I went to get my teeth cleaned today, and they take x-rays as well. And I don't remember this happening in the past at dentists, but they also take my blood pressure. I don't know if anyway. So she's taking it. It's something that does it on its own. So she's turned around and she's looking at the computer, and she just goes, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "Your blood pressure is low." And I'm like, "Okay, I'm okay." And she's like, "Let's just do this arm." And it goes up like 10, and she's like, "I mean, okay." And she's like, "Are you going to faint?" And I'm like, What are you saying to me? So anyway, all day I'm like, am I okay? Anyway, I'm just saying low blood pressure, low blood sugar, it affects you.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
What's going on with you?
I don't know. It's like, it's 30 points under normal. And I don't know. I don't really, like 120 over 80 is perfect. And I was 73 over something else.
Are you going to die?
Maybe.
What do we do about that?
Well, she's like, the good news is low blood pressure is not really something you have to worry about unless you completely lose it. High blood pressure can hurt your heart. Low blood pressure just means you might be a little faint or dizzy or whatever, but you could like drink some coffee. Like you can affect your pressure with lots of, it's sensitive. But I mean, I did exactly everything I always do every morning. That shouldn't have been.
Maybe you always have that. Maybe this also explains why you're often like, I don't know, I just have the dizziness.
Well, she's like,
just feeling fine.
She said, "Are you dizzy?" And I'm like, "No more than usual." She went, "Oh." But like,
no, your normal self. We went to the music studio yesterday to record our summer miniseries song, and you're like, "These headphones are getting me dizzy.
They do.
I'm gonna faint." Yeah, maybe there's a reason for all of this, and it's just you got to take a pill.
Matt, I get my blood pressure taken at every single medical thing I ever go to. And recently I've done a lot of different appointments. I've never had this has never happened before.
They're all quacks.
Okay. Maybe your machine was faulty.
Maybe she was stepping on it. Yeah.
No, it's battery operators, no wires.
Maybe the AI was stepping on it. All right, so production was difficult.
He needed a snack. That's all my point.
It was hectic. But the difficulties I've always heard about him is like he is just so opinionated and so specific.
Okay.
So, more quotes from The Ringer. Quote, Myers, meanwhile, seemingly had an opinion on every choice made on the film. Wayne's World was his baby. Spheeris remembers arguing with him and the Turners about which Southern California home to use for exterior shots of Wayne's parents' place. You know how in the beginning he goes, "Hi, I'm Wayne," and he walks out and gets in the basement, right?
Yeah.
Spheeris says. If you look at the house, it looks like every fucking house in the valley. Even so, Spheeris and Myers checked out about 50 houses before picking one.
Oh my God.
Myers and Carvey spent the hectic shoot, which lasted only 34 days, attempting both to work together and to one-up each other.
Oh.
It's not like they butted heads or argued a lot or anything, Spheeris says, but I'll tell you what they did, and Lorne teaches all his people to do this, and that is compete with each other. Lorne loves, I don't care if you quote me, I'm getting too old for this shit, to have people argue and try and please him and compete with each other to the point where someone's in tears.
That's fucking toxic as hell.
Michaels did not respond to requests for comment. If Myers pitched something new...
No wonder he ended up being Dr. Evil in the movie. I mean, that's got to be some sort of message, right? That's horrible. People fight for their whole careers to get on something like SNL, and then you get there and you realize you're only as good as your last fucking sketch, and you can't even make friends because you're all pitted against each other. That really fucking bums me out.
That's also just classic megalomaniacal behavior from like every CEO and politician. That they're like, no, that's my management style.
I know that. It's just, I know how hard people fight to, like, that's their mecca. That's the thing. That's like the thing at the top of the mountain, and to get there and realize it's horrible. It just breaks my heart.
To get into the Biden White House, and now I find he doesn't even remember my name, and he sleeps 19 hours a day.
And he's dead.
He has no blood pressure.
I know.
Anyway, going on with the quote, if Myers pitched something new, then Carvey would too. Like, for example, when the latter suggested installing a licorice dispenser in the ceiling of the car. End quote. So yeah, Myers and Carvey, they were not particularly close friends, and Mike Myers was clearly the dominant creative force in this movie. It was an enormous hit, $183 million on a $20 million budget. Again, like a much bigger hit than Austin Powers.
Wow.
And this is, at the box office. So it only became bigger on home video. And a sequel was immediately greenlit. Now, this is exactly like Sister Act, where in 1992, a huge smash leads to a hasty sequel 20 months later in 1993. Same years for both
Interesting.
sets of movies. How? There are no coincidences, as I said. But Penelope Spheeris was not brought back for the sequel, and she says she knows it's because Mike Myers did not want her back, and that there was a moment, and it was when the studio didn't have big expectations for the movie, but they started doing screenings, test screenings, and the audiences were like, it was like the best reactions ever. People were like, this is the fucking best. This is hilarious. So at this moment, they start getting excited about the movie, and Mike Myers sends Penelope pages and pages of notes of cuts he wants to make, and she says, I'm not making them. The movie's great as it is, and she said she knew when she did that she wasn't going to be invited back for the sequel, but she said fuck
She
it.
was right.
Yeah.
Do you know if Cassandra's in Wayne's World 2? Okay.
I started watching Wayne's World 2. I think I've seen Wayne's World 2 more than Wayne's World because I kept waiting for things that happened in Wayne's World 2 to happen in Wayne's World 1. But I started watching Wayne's World 2 last night and saw her name in the credits, third build.
Was it good?
I only watched 15 minutes.
Were they good?
It was not that good.
I didn't think so.
Yeah.
Probably too heavy in narrative.
Came out less than 2 years later, made half as much money.
No, still money.
And so that's the history of Wayne's World.
Okay.
Now,
Party on. Wee, wee, wee.
Wayne's World is really, at the end of the day, Lacey, it's a story of paradise lost. It's the Garden of Eden, isn't it? Wayne and Garth, they're Adam and Eve.
Got it.
They let the snake into the garden. They let Rob Lowe into the garden.
They did.
And Wayne is the one who wants to eat the apple. Garth is fine. Garth is like, we could do this forever. I am so happy we live in paradise. And Wayne also thinks it's paradise, but he's also like, I'd really like to do Wayne's World for a living and move out of my parents' basement. And so he lets that fucking snake into the garden.
Do you think it'd be paradise, though, if they got about 10 years older and were still in their living situation?
Yes.
Still girlfriendless? How? I think these guys are only
But Wayne gets girlfriends.
Yes, but they don't last. He's not reaching any more milestones. I'm saying if your show never gets out of your basement and your home never becomes your own, I do not think that these same two guys are cool 10 years from now. And I think why it's paradise is in part due to the social acceptance of them when they go out and party.
Well, that's why they're like, so it's not actually the Garden of Eden, because it's like, this is the Garden of Eden like 30 years after the snake's already been there. Like their barbarians are already at the gate. They created this thing that's pure and beautiful and makes people happy. And they go out in their car and they go through their little paradise that is Aurora, Illinois, and they go to the donut shop, and it's packed with metal people, and they're so happy to see them. And they're like, you do Wayne's World. That's great. I love it.
So I think what you're hitting on here is a moment in time where like the balance of everything is pretty awesome for these guys. And something's going to tip it one way or the other, and getting a new relationship is probably one of those things that happens. They probably had another good 2 years of this perfect harmony if they really wanted it. But they also seem to like to have sex, and so that leads to relationships.
The poison, though, here is we've created something that people love and it's popular. In a just world, that would be enough. We would be compensated for it, or we'd have a society that values that and not say like, well, if you really want it to make money, it has to be bastardized and corporatized and become this other thing. But they already live in the neoliberal hell of 1992.
Yeah.
They just don't realize it yet.
I also feel like it's one of those things where you think you would love something if you could do that thing you love all the time, but you inevitably turn it into something that has to make you money. So you have to be either getting better at it or keeping up with what you've already achieved. It all just becomes a race against yourself. So like how you only drink on Fridays and Saturdays, the fact that they only get to do Wayne's World because it's like a passion thing and it's not their job and they get to do it after their job and they look forward to it probably is what makes it really special and what gives them creative like energy and ideas. I'm just saying, like, doing it full time, well, you've just turned it into a job, so it's going to lose something.
It would look, well, I think to them, it's like, we do this on Friday nights, and apparently it's well known enough that they're like, oh yeah, all the kids like this show. And again, I just keep returning to, if we had a different society that just where people are like, we just created something beautiful and lovely, that should be enough. But there's no avenue. Like, we don't have a country that like funds the media because they do it on public access TV.
Yeah.
So they don't have to pay for it. Or maybe they do, but it's like they don't have to have commercials. I just, watching the movie again between now and when we recorded our history, I realized this is so obvious. The discussion of money and commercialism is in like every single scene in the movie. It's even in places I didn't notice. And Brian Doyle Murray as the as Mr. Vanderhoff, it describes his game, and it's like it's about a gelatinous cube that devours villages, and it's like, oh, that's the whole story of this movie. Is the gelatinous cube is coming for you?
Nothing can stay pure, even the purest people like Garth.
Yeah,
and his Reebok.
Speaking of Brian Doyle Murray, his is the first voice we hear. What a great voice! Like, Noah's Arcade, come on down. But it's a commercial, and we start with commercials. We're just flipping through the television commercials.
Well, and he's a great example of how he has no passion for what he does. He just fell into it for the most cynical reasons and just to exploit people like Wayne and Garth. He did it just for that.
Right. He's like, I own arcades. You're like, oh, arcades. What a lovely thing to think about. The pure joy of childhood going to arcades. Like, I own a chain of arcades and I give video games to little piggies.
They're just little monkeys and they pump the quarters in. Freaking like, he doesn't even get like what joy comes out of an arcade. He doesn't even understand that it's like a place to commune when you're under a certain age and that you can actually get real joy out of being good at something like an arcade game. It's just not his generation, man. He just sees little idiots pumping money into a money box.
And now from 2025, we look at this and we're like, I'm sorry, a chain of arcades could exist?
That sounds fucking
Whereas
awesome.
in 1992, they're like, this is disgusting that the arcade, the once great independent American institution, has now become so corporate. But
can you think of an arcade chain?
No.
I guess it'd have to be local.
Like Chuck E. Cheese. Like,
yeah, but it's amusements. That's a little bit more than arcade. Yeah, it would have to, it just feels like it would have to be a local thing where there's like 2 or 3 max, you know, not even sprawling states really.
But like Wayne and Garth, the reason I backtracked on the Garden of Eden, their world is already crumbling. The things that they want are still like consumption oriented. Like Wayne really desires the Fender.
Yeah.
When what you desire is just consumer products, they're only ever going to get worse. And crucially, the Fender he wants is a Fender from 1964, 1 year before Fender was bought by a bigger corporation and stopped producing good guitars, started doing assembly line production of their guitars. Cassandra says this.
Okay, but so he wants something pure like what he already has. It seems like Wayne, he's driven by capitalism-ish, but it seems like he's reaching backwards to the better moment, that other moment in time.
Yes.
Where they reached their apex and then got so good they went and sold themselves.
Right. There's never, but in that system, you can never actually stop it. There's never, you can never be like, freeze.
Right.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, you'll always be talked into the fact that you're not really reaching your potential if this is what you're doing.
Yes. So this movie's great. Okay, so they're watching.
This was a journey. We haven't even started on.
Well, they're watching commercials, and again, it's very key. The movie starts with commercials, and it's commercials
and empty sex. Okay, sorry.
Well, Rob Lowe as Benjamin, this woman's like, it's really good to see you, Benjamin. You haven't been to Shakey's in so long.
Well, you see her Shakey's uniform on the chair. She dresses like a fucking clown.
Yeah, and Shakey's is a pizza chain. Mm-hmm. So even that is like this commercialized, like the classic family pizza parlor, now corporatized and commodified.
And there's the pizza on the bed. So you've got to think like he also wanted free pizza. Mm-hmm. He wanted the sex and the pizza.
They see the commercial for the Chia Pet and for the Clapper. And I realized like,
oh yeah, you're right. It's all of those little fad things. It's all the things that I'm sorry, I thought you were hitting on something. I thought you were hitting on a point.
No, yeah.
It's specifically everything that was like hyped in that moment and now is completely it was laughable even then. It wasn't even taken seriously. It's just, hey, we can put this plant in the shape of a human head, so maybe buy it.
And the Clapper is like Siri and Gemini and everything, like that is not that much of an iteration on the Clapper, which people bought and then realized this is useless. If it works, I realize this isn't any more convenient of me just desperately first time I ever went to our friend Patrick Perot's house when as a teenager, he had his family was having birthday cake for him and he invited me over and I went in and I met his family and then I went to the bathroom and then I came out and I was like, Patrick, where's the flusher on your toilet? And he said, and he's like, why'd you say? I'm like, where's the flusher? So that his whole family hears. And he's like, it's a Clapper. And
a Clapper toilet?
And I go back in and I seriously clap. And I was like, no, it's not. And he's like, yeah, you idiot.
Oh, I fucking hate you, Patrick, for that. It's your first time at the house.
All right. They see.
Sweet. So where was it?
It was like on top of the toilet tank. You pull it up.
Oh.
It looked like a decoration.
Idiot child.
So, yeah, finally they land on Wayne's World. And then we transition into Wayne's World. Tell us about Wayne and Garth, Lacey.
Well, when I was a kid, I used to think they were kind of mean, but I found them very funny. And now I realize that, they are ultimate Gen X, all about not selling out, not being a poser. You're pure, man. Exactly what you're saying, right? So they have on squares to do interviews and under the false pretense that they're going to help them promote their product. But maybe sometimes they do, maybe sometimes they just want to like feel it out. If this is good, I'll tell you it's good. If this is a vacuum hair cutting device that's about to scalp my friend, I'm going to say it sucks.
And you thought they were mean because they make fun of the people they have on?
Yeah. I was like, why invite him over if you're going to be mean to him? Because he seems sad when he leaves. The suck it. I never noticed it was called the suck it. Suck cut. Okay, sorry. Okay, that I knew. But I feel like I'm not just... if you've never seen Wayne's World, I don't think you'd be listening to this episode. But, just to look like early 20s, definitely past high school age... best friends sitting on in a furnished basement that it's their set, but it doesn't appear that they made it into a set. It's just exactly what a furnished basement would look like in Aurora on bad couches and stuff. And
I can't believe there wasn't a Paramount Plus Wayne's World prequel series in 2021. How did they get a TV show?
Especially with the popularity of Stranger Things and how much time they spend in their basement that looks just like this. It's just low hanging fruit. Little tiny Wayne and Garth, like just doing Dungeons and Dragons and playing air guitar. I've always found it interesting that Wayne clearly plays instruments, so does Garth, and they never ever hint at or talk about having ever been in a band. But they both very much care to be good at their instruments, or like it's not a joke. That I just think it's interesting to have somebody that cares a lot about music and playing music and never has any plans of being in a band or ever was in one.
I know, and Wayne plays guitar and Garth plays drums, and then they bring in their third, Cassandra, who plays bass. And the first time I saw this movie, I was like, wait, that movie's not going to put that puzzle together? It seems like that's where this is going. Or like Cassandra's band like leaves her at the end and they need, who am I going to get to fill in for me? It's really surprising.
You're so right. You're so, but I mean, I think Wayne and Garth really do know what they have, and they get it back, right? Like I think they immediately realize, no, it was right the way that it was.
As Rob Lowe is watching this on TV, he's like, I will acquire this. Let me make a phone call to my corporate partner.
To his fucking credit, he does see it though. He does see the potential. He seems to get something. I mean, why trust this one bimbo? Sorry, lady shakies. But why trust this one woman's opinion so much that you're going to like try to get a client you've been trying to get more out of based on it? You know, he seems to have an eye for what he can exploit. He sees two guys he can manipulate, and they seem to have some kind of charisma.
Right, you're right. It is not just I see suckers. It's like, well, yeah, there's something here.
Yeah.
There's something here.
With a little bit of
what it is.
my spit shining and a little bit of speaking Cantonese in front of the lady, I'll figure it out. I'll get it going.
So we see the house that Wayne lives in that they had to see 70 other houses before they pick the perfect one. And then he comes out and like addresses the camera. If you're somebody who's only watched SNL up until this point, you're like, oh my God, he left the basement. But this is not a fake documentary. It's like mostly a normal movie, but Wayne and Garth can speak directly into the camera and the camera will move. And there is an implied cameraman, but most of the movie is just shot like a normal movie. And I like that there's no attempt at all to explain any of that.
Right. Back to the bass playing thing. Sorry. I never noticed until this rewatching how many times they mentioned the bass player. Bass. Like, and then I was just thinking, is this a dig? I mean, bass players get shit all the time. They seem to be like the replaceable member of a band in some cases. Are they picking on her being a lady?
No, okay. I think it's
she does some good bass. Like there are bass moments in all of her songs, so I figure like they're celebrating her, and her singing is insane.
I think that I don't know. This is why I was so thinking wouldn't you have her play guitar, because that's just the default is I play guitar,
right?
And obviously there are tons of bass players who are the lead singers.
But it is it's a very specific, if you're just going to do default, that's not default. So either it was based on somebody that like Wayne actually had in mind, or maybe they were planning on doing something with the three of them doing a show, even if it was just in their heads, and just thought, nah, cheesy or predictable. Like had it to set it up if they wanted it, but didn't need it.
And she does a good job of faking playing bass.
But is she singing?
I don't know. I didn't look that up.
I mean, but those are so specific, amazing vocals. Like they have to belong to someone, and that person should also be famous. I don't know anyone that sings like that.
Tia Carrere sang all her own vocals on the song she performed in the film, including a cover of Sweet's Ballroom Blitz. Despite never playing bass before, she had to learn 4 songs on the instrument in just 3 weeks.
Wow. Did she have a singing career? Because her singing is amazing.
She is a trained singer,
but also a screamer. It's just unique.
2-time Grammy-winning singer.
Okay.
She won a Grammy in 2009 for her 3rd album, Ikena, and her 2010 album.
Did she sing it in her a native language or something?
Wanaka Aloha. Maybe it was. She's Hawaiian, and I mean born in Honolulu.
We need to have a whole episode about her. I am fascinated.
So we live in Aurora, Illinois. It's a suburb of Chicago. Excellent. And he explains he'd really love to do Wayne's World for a living.
And he says he has had a lot of jobs, and they're all kind of in the fast food stuff. But we have no hint of a job for either of them throughout this movie.
And then Garth and the camera crew pull up in Garth's car, which weren't they already there? I don't know. Right. But they just all hang out together all the time. They're just all a group of best friends, and all they do is work together and have fun together. And they put in the Bohemian Rhapsody tape. And
this was my introduction to Queen. It's probably a lot of kids.
Sure.
I don't know. I didn't have parents cool enough to be sharing Queen with me. Maybe it wasn't their generation. I didn't realize this till I was older how old-fashioned my dad's music tastes were. My dad almost exclusively only gave me music from the 60s to listen to. And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's not his generation, is it? For some... well, you know what? He was 13 years older than my dad. Fuck, maybe it was.
He was your dad.
Okay.
He was not 13 years older than your dad.
My mom.
Okay, so he would have been born in the 40s. Yeah, that would have been his generation.
Okay.
Is he? Yeah, I mean, it's like one of those factoids. Like Joe Biden is too old for the Beatles. That's I love.
So weird. Yeah. Okay. He was a greaser. He always told me he was. I don't know why I thought. I guess because my mom was a decade later.
Well, what they say about Bohemian Rhapsody here is like Bohemian Rhapsody was a super famous song, but maybe it was that like the. It was at a low point in its popularity, and this movie brought it back.
Oh.
Or what they say about like "Don't Stop Believin'" in the Sopranos finale in 2007
Oh,
is
that's crazy.
That was like a song that was like, oh yeah, I love that song, and that made it like explode again. But hey, remember that great scene in the Bohemian Rhapsody movie where Mike Myers himself plays an evil record executive who did not exist, who heard Bohemian Rhapsody and told Queen, nobody's ever going to bang their heads to this song.
Shut the fuck up.
And then he stares into the camera for 30 seconds.
That did not happen.
Yes, it does.
What about I'm in love with my car?
You're joking. Oh, Jesus.
I love that. Well, that's the kind of song teenagers can crank up the volume in their car and bang their heads to. Bohemian Rhapsody will never be that song.
Oh my God. I'm glad I black everything out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when I saw the fake Queen band in 2019,
The fake Queen band?
the one that had only 2 members of Queen in it,
Yeah.
When they did Bohemian Rhapsody, they just played footage of the opera part. They didn't sing it live. Isn't that
Fucking
bogus?
lame. You can give people jobs. God forbid. I'm sure there's local opera singers everywhere who definitely practice with that.
So, I mean, what good scene. It's fun. It's exuberant. There's such joy. This is great. And it captures, you know, me as a teenager. This really speaks to me. Finally, I'm represented.
Oh, yeah.
Because as a teenager, all I did for fun, instead of doing drugs and drinking, which I should have done, I just drove around with my straight edge friends and we listened to music together in the car and like sang our hearts out.
You guys were straight edge on purpose? Or
No,
like you just were?
it wasn't like our identity. It was just
Okay. Because there
never occurred to us to do bad things.
Okay.
But no,
so I would have definitely thought this was the idea of Wayne or Garth, sorry, Dana or Michael. Just to go by Mike. We'll say Mike. But you said earlier that this was actually the director's idea, or it was that Mike Myers did not like the way she directed this scene, not that it
Right.
was her idea.
No, I don't think it was her idea, but no, I think it was his idea, and he went and got permission.
Didn't want a headbang? Like, so what was he going to do? Just stand there stiff while the headbanging
No,
part
I'm sure
commenced?
it was somebody's telling you, okay, no, headbang this way, and he's done it a bunch of times. And like, I don't want to do it anymore.
It fucking hurts. Do you remember what it feels like to come back after a concert the next day as a young person and have pulled all the muscles in the back of your neck? Maybe you've never head banged.
I did headbang.
Yeah, but not your ankylosing spondylitis probably prevented you from doing like the super.
No, I could
Yeah.
super bang.
I fucking doubt it. Or I guess you're just a strong stallion.
Well, they stop at the guitar store so Wayne can look in at the Fender Strat, and then he speaks to the
will be
camera.
mine.
Yeah. And Garth is like, he does this every Friday.
Live in the know.
So they really are like living like teenagers because their
Yeah.
world is so small that the thing he covets the most in the world is an instrument at their shitty local music store. And he could never even fathom being able to buy it.
See, but even you are kind of picking on it, right? Like if it's this beautiful little perfect heaven that they're in, should he want anything bigger and beyond
No, I know.
those walls?
It's true. That is, yes, I am the perfect neoliberal subject. I am perfectly, even if I think the world sucks, I still cannot fathom a different kind of world. And so I'm like, you small potatoes guy, go to Chicago. It's only an hour away. There's a bigger music store there with all kinds of guitars.
All right, but why move the goalpost? Mm-hmm. He hasn't even reached this one.
This is, they really are. They go to Stan Mikita's donut shop, which is just the most happening place in town. Just cool people with long hair hanging out in cars in the parking lot like it's the 1950s, having a great time. And it is just a donut and coffee shop themed after a hockey player.
Yes, and just the loveliest little weird relationship between young youth and cop.
Yeah. Who seems like he's going to give them a hard time. He's like, hey, Wayne Campbell.
He's really into body cavity searches.
Well, yeah.
That part was a little rough. I guess it hit a little different watching it whenever he does go to pull Rob Lowe over. Like, okay, did we need that part? I don't know.
Stan Mikita was a Slovak hockey player who spent his entire career with the Chicago Blackhawks, and he is indeed one of the best hockey players of all time, but it is supposed to be a joke. A restaurant is named after this guy and it has a giant statue of him that spins on the roof. It's amazing.
It's so Canadian, I didn't get it.
And they get out of their cars as Bohemian Rhapsody ends. It's coda at the end. And it is like they are ascending to Valhalla as they get out. And people are like, Wayne's World.
Party.
they do the thing with the officer, and it seems like they have this adversarial relationship, but he's just like, he's still nice to them. He's like, yeah, I get it. I used to tell cops they were big pigs too. Anyway,
Sweet.
That's that. Yeah, and that's also why Rob Lowe is so easily he's able to so easily penetrate their world, because everybody's nice and sweet.
I thought you were
and
making
loves
a
them so
fucking
much.
cavity search joke.
Oh no. Ed O'Neill plays Glenn, the manager of the diner,
who's clearly a Vietnam vet or something. He's seen some shit.
I think he is not a Vietnam vet, but he feels like he is. He feels like he went through his own personal Vietnam.
Yeah, he's dark.
Yeah. And he's like, why is it if a man kills another man in battle, it's called heroic, but if a man kills another man in the heat of passion, it's murder. It's hilarious. Wayne explains only he and Garth can talk to the camera. But Garth is like, but I don't have much to say. What else happens here, Lacey? I don't know.
Well, so this is where we get to meet Stacy, who I fucking love every time she comes in. Stacy is Hose Beast, the psycho ex-girlfriend.
Laura Flynn Boyle from Twin Peaks.
Yes, this is where she presents Wayne with a gun rack, yet he does not own a gun. Okay. And we also find out that, and this doesn't get old, like there's a lot of little gimmicks throughout the movie. This is where we know that Garth has a crush on this impossibly beautiful looking waitress, and every time he sees her, he hears music or songs or whatever. What else did we find out?
No, you're right. The gimmicks, hearing Dreamweaver whenever he sees Cassandra, or the classical music whenever he sees this woman.
Yeah, and then his foxy dance. None of it's bad, because these are very professional, distinct, interesting comedians. These are two very strong comedians leading this movie. So they have very different styles, and it switches between them well.
But what happened, like in the Austin Powers sequels, what happens? He just keeps returning to the well again and again and again. And this movie has the restraint that none of these individual things wear out their welcome.
Yeah.
You're not like, Dreamweaver again. I get it.
Right. And that's, they don't spend too much time in any one place, in any one conversation. It's like a ton of tiny skits that all weave perfectly together. But yeah, the Stacy stuff is awesome because she never gets upset. She just keeps coming. She's just so fun to pick on and to laugh at, because no matter what, she's like, ha ha ha. Like you can't hurt her, so it's okay. It's fun to watch her someone be mean to her.
Mm-hmm. And she's like, just because we broke up doesn't mean we can't still go out.
It does, actually. This is one of the things I noticed and I understood in a new way. He's like, get the net. And I was like, I thought, and it might still just mean like get the net. Like I know it means catch on, but then I was like, oh, is he talking about the internet? Like,
no,
do some research.
No. It'd been like
get the net.
Catch her in a net. She's a loon.
Oh,
take her back to the loony bin.
Okay, got you. Damn it. All right. Well, I knew I didn't. What I knew is that I didn't know it then, and I was right because I just learned it now. I was today years old. All right. Now they're going to the gasworks, which has the coolest fucking piled up car statue thing I've ever seen in my life. That has to be a real place. Where we're going to go see Crucial Tot for the first time. Very cool band name, I will say. And they give you a rundown of we see Meatloaf. He's the doorman. He's going to tell you who's playing. The Jolly Green Giants and the Shitty Beatles. Mm-hmm. Are they any good? They suck. All right. And Cassandra is wailing her ass off. Every song she sings is perfection. They shoot it really well. You're weaving in and out of the nightclub. And when he's talking, you can hear him, and we're focusing on the band. We hear them perfectly. We see them perfectly.
Well, they established the thing with Garth can't get by the big guy, so then he goes to the car and they play the Mission Impossible theme, and it's introducing Garth is like a hacker and a tech guy.
Garth likes gadgets, yes, and he's smart. He's a thinker, right? And he's the one who figures out Benjamin right away.
And if you're saying he's autistic, it's like, well, autistic people love tinkering, don't they?
I'm saying, yeah, it's a heavy-handed, coded, antisocial, doesn't know what to say, but he's very intelligent, and it's.
I think it works in this movie, but the thing I would point to is like they don't really know what to do with Garth, so they'll give him. He'll figure out the tech stuff.
He has gimmicks, but don't you think that it might have been Dana Carvey trying to weave in some of his ideas, and maybe he just didn't have the strong personality enough to make sure it was woven in just so. Like, it's like, here's a skit. Lorne Michaels would know what to do with this. This is the idea I have. I want it in the movie. Mike got his thing. I want this thing. And because he's not pushing and not like up the ass of the director, it gets it's a little shoehorned in.
Mm-hmm, maybe.
I'll call her Naz.
When she is playing Cassandra, they're playing Let Me Stand Next to Your Fire. Now, I mean, Wayne is like, this is the coolest metal bar in town. And they have a pool table. But like, this is not metal at all. I know that's probably
this
the
is
joke.
hair band.
But they're playing a Jimi Hendrix song and like everybody's really nice and sweet and I don't know. It's like a Disney metal club.
I guess.
But
there's people drinking and kung fu fighting.
That's true. They're going nuts for this band, and as they leave the stage, some people get into a fight and spill beer on Cassandra as she walks by, and she's like, "Hey!" and then she kicks ass.
Overreacting. Okay, you just kicked with heels on. That person's going to the hospital. But of course, as a kid, I was like, "That was amazing."
Yes, and you know who else says that? Wayne, because I think this is we were talking.
She will be mine.
We were talking off mic about, do you think it being a woman directed by a woman is probably why there aren't as many like poorly aging, like homophobic jokes or stuff or sexist jokes. And I think like, you're probably entirely right. And maybe Mike Myers' notes about cuts were like, hey, you didn't include all the F slurs and stuff.
Or like my boner humor more, or like how much I went swing to her, I mean, this is when she says the stupid thing about kung fu fighting, which is really insensitive. She still has an accent, so she's clearly first generation, and people probably always fetishize her and probably always have ideas for her that don't make sense with her personality, or people are probably constantly underestimating her. And Wayne's a nice guy, and Wayne has good intentions, and still he fucking steps in it. Mm-hmm. But he notices, and this movie does a great correction. Yeah,
and he feels bad about it, and he realizes he fucked up, and he's going to try to make it up to her. But he sees this woman kick ass, and he's like, that's awesome. That's sexy.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't at all diminish he is never macho. That is not his thing. Like, that you'd never see this guy in a bar fight, and that's like, it makes him so likable.
It's cool that my girlfriend can kick ass.
Of macho-ness, yes. Mm-hmm. And the silliness, the stuff he does in the bedroom. I had never seen that in my life. And it was like the most realistic bedroom scene I think I've seen in a movie. It's what people do. They're dumb together. We'll get there.
You want me to be doing that more? More bits?
I want you to be you, and that's what you are.
Okay, yeah. I'm not.
Just get to that part.
When we get to that part, we'll get to that part. Well, so he does the kung fu fighting thing. He kind of bombs. I honestly didn't really notice that he acknowledged it, or I didn't read it that way, and then watched it the second time and realized, no, that's exactly what just happened. And like you said, that is why he then throws himself into learning Cantonese.
Because it was going well. And she's unspeakably hot. And I remember as a kid thinking, how would he ever get her? Like, it seems so preposterous to me, because I realize they're not like on the same level of hotness. But then watching it now, I'm like, yeah, he'd stand out. He's nice. He's funny. He's interesting. He talks to her like he says she's hot and stuff, but he also like has conversations, and you see her interactions with other guys all throughout. How just typical when you're that good looking and you're that skilled and you're that on stage in the spotlight, you are constantly getting hit on, I'm sure. And it makes it a lot easier to see someone who's a little bit different.
And he like compliments her immediately on the music, like, you guys wail, but it's right. He is kind of just complimenting her like she's any other musician.
Yes, right.
Isn't like, I'm not usually into chick bands, but
exactly.
So he asks, can I call you? And she's like, you can come to my show. How about that?
I also like how she's guarded like that. That's not the first and only person she says, yeah, get a flyer at the door.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, she will be mine. Oh, yes. But she has to go because the club owner's trying to dick her out of some money.
I did not know what that meant as a kid. And now I'm like, that must be Cantonese. And it's like, oh, okay. So, and then you see her over there fighting with the club owner. And and he's like, that's hot too.
Well, you hear her say, you see how many people I brought in. And
right.
This is again, the man, the owner of the club, the owner of Capital, being like, no, I'm going to try to screw you any way I possibly can. And the only way you can, you just have to fight back as hard as you can.
Well, and you know that the female is a lead singer, and until you meet her in person, you probably also think she's someone you can exploit. So they bring in the shitty Beatles and the jolly green fuck idiots, and it's like, oh yeah, and then a chick band. But you're not fucking over this chick.
Yeah, that's why I say, like, there's exploitation in every corner of this movie.
Yeah.
If you're looking for it.
You're really
and we know how to look, and you
my eyes.
don't. That's why you listen. I'm just kidding. You're
I thought
very
I was
smart.
in trouble for a second, but we're talking to the audience. That's fine.
Yeah. So we check in with Rob Lowe, and he's meeting with Brian Doyle Murray as Noah Vanderhoff.
Brian Doyle Murray.
And
I always forget he's related to Bill Murray. And then I remember, and then I'm so excited. I want to go to
then you forget
Thanksgiving.
all over again.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to go to Thanksgiving.
I think he's Bill Murray's half brother. So
he's a good half.
Yeah, the good half. Russell is Kurt Fuller. He's the producer, and he's going to professionalize Wayne's World. Oh, well, their pitch to Brian Doyle Murray is like, I know you love doing your TV commercials, but if you had a weekly spot on a TV show that catered to your customers, you could really like keep them up to date about the gelatinous cube games and stuff. And he's like, wow.
Which is this is great because you've got the ultimate capitalist selling to the guy who's like, I fell into really good business. That means I'm a good businessman. And like, he's selling you something so stupid. What could be so crucial at an arcade? If either people like going to arcade or they don't. They don't need the newest version of a game to be pulled there. So it's like, if I could pay for a weekly spot on a TV show to say nothing interesting, it's like he's selling him something he does not need.
That's not true. I mean, if you're getting new, how often are you getting new games though? Is the thing.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Oh, okay.
Arcade technology moved like a snail compared to what happens now. I mean, I'm saying he's got enough of a successful arcade that he's got more than one. That means kids are going to it. That's all you need. There's nothing more to do. Mm-hmm. You done it. It's a small town. You've got everyone that's coming.
Why does Coca-Cola stay number one? Because
but you said it's in every corner of this movie, and I would just like you to. Noah is also being had.
Oh yes,
he's being sold something that is making him look like an idiot,
and something that and you see Rob Lowe, who's so good as. I mean, Rob Lowe's great in this movie.
He makes it his idea.
So, Rob Lowe, the actor, is great as the most sleazy Rob Lowe kind of character.
It took me years to like Rob Lowe in any capacity because this is all I knew him for, and I couldn't unsee it. Fucking hated Rob Lowe, which is probably why I avoided all Brad Pack movies with him in it. Fuck that guy.
And I think this was like the beginning of his comeback after he had the thing with having sex with a 16-year-old.
Oh, I was saying, like I have any idea. I thought you meant after the Brat Pack.
After the Brat Pack, after that whole thing.
He thought he was still a brat.
Where he was
sex tape. 24 years old at a time.
Yeah, sex tape where he was having sex with two women. One was 22, the other was 16 years old. Yes. And it wasn't illegal because she was at the age of consent where it was filmed. But this was a big thing. Oh, and then he also had that thing where he sang with Snow White at the Oscars. That was a big hit for him. A big negative hit for him.
Big hit in the career. The guy who plays Russell, I feel like I always enjoy him as an actor.
But yeah, he does the great thing. The great way to sell somebody is like, so if I'm hearing you correct, you're saying that a weekly TV spot would be a great opportunity for you to sell your arcade. And he's like, like, well, I think you're a very smart man for thinking that.
I mean, because the first thing Noah says to him in this meeting is like, kids are easy. Kids I got. Like he does know what he's talking about, but this guy just outthinks him.
Right. And like you said, he doesn't bring much of a value other than owning the arcades, but that's way more value than what Rob Lowe does, which is just a middleman. I'm just like, I just connect you to this guy, and I'm somehow the one who ends up with the most money. Mm-hmm. So they find out where Wayne's World is produced, and they go to the basement, and they take Wayne and Garth out to a tiki restaurant. And he's like, guys, I think your show is great, but I think you're capable of so much more. And I love Garth saying, well, we'll try harder.
You can't just end us.
And he's brought over a contract and 2 checks for $5,000 each, even though he knows they're both artists and they don't want to accept it, just in the off chance they did. $5,000 in 1992 is worth $11,400 today. But Garth is the one who's immediately a little skeptical and has the camera follow him down under the table so that he could say it seems a little weird.
That he brought checks.
Yeah.
That it would need to be this instant.
But then Garth figures something out and then gets distracted and kind of forgets. Because he's like, do you ever see that episode of The Twilight Zone where the guy signs a contract and they cut his tongue out and they put the tongue in a jar and the tongue gives birth to other tongues? That was pretty cool. Anyway.
He's like, because he's on to something and it's like, but I also like talking about this other thing.
Uh-huh. That's the most Beavis and Butthead thing, is they often get close to figuring something out and then can't take the next step. So they sign, they sell out.
Before we go on and pass this iconic scene up, I will point out that there's no one in the history of people born during the time it was to appreciate this movie who have ever received $5,000 and did not then sing, "We got $5,000. We got $5,000." People say that you will now notice it.
I'm not seeing that many people get $5,000.
Yeah, but you'll know when they do, because they will sing this song.
This is just so much more of an iconic movie for you than it is for me. But I know I'm in the mood. It's a huge movie for everybody.
Yes, but you've probably been witnessing people quoting it your whole life. Why would you notice it?
Well, I noticed it when it was Schwing or...
Well, it's Shawing. Yep. Schwing.
Like Lacey said, selling out was a very Gen X fixation.
Still is. I mean, that generation still feels that way. It's like once you're like, it's entrenched. I mean, and it was still kind of lingering because I'm an older millennial. For me, with calling everyone a goddamn poser.
I'm much more sympathetic to selling out, to criticizing people for selling out than I am for criticizing phonies or posers.
Yeah, that was the residue that we dealt with, was phony posers.
Yeah, and I was so terrified of being called a poser.
Yes, it was the fucking worst. That's why I thought I couldn't even admit to liking a band until I knew the song names. And you know how bad I am at that.
Yeah, you're
and
bad.
and like learning names of people and like the names of the people in the band. I was terrified, and I could really, 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 really like a band. That's why I have 3, Matt. 3 bands that I would ever admit to, because it was all my brain could take in.
Right. That's why when we were recording at the studio the other day and Lacey was singing and did an incredible job, and you'll hear it soon. Wade, who was there with us, we were trying to, give you some direction and some inspiration. And I shouted to you, "You're Jonathan Davis." And then Wade said to me, "Jonathan Davis?" And I was like, all right, don't worry about it. Because
It's my touchstone.
It's one of 3 singers she knows from bands.
I know a lot of singers, but because those were my safe places, my well-versed, I had a vocabulary around those bands. You knew enough to know that would make me feel, oh, he's good at singing.
You're Andy Hull from Manchester Orchestra. Like, yeah, that wouldn't work.
It wouldn't work.
Yeah.
I don't like the name Andy either.
But yeah, selling out, it was the Gen X thing, because like they could see the world is kind of rotting right now, and I'm not going to be part of that. I will not take the next step of like, maybe we should do something about it.
Right, because they were also slackers, and they would have been coming of age during that Reagan thing, right? Mm-hmm. That we saw in American History X. Nope, American Psycho. So yeah, they had to. They were watching capitalism develop. Oh, my brain.
Devour everything.
Yeah.
Sink its tendrils into everything. You're losing things you used to have.
Things you didn't think would go anywhere. It just takes a charismatic, popular, good-looking man in the White House to want it or to be puppeted into saying it.
So
can I say a very dyslexic thing here? All right, so now we're on the roof scene. Cassandra is impressed that he came to the flyer. He took the flyer, said he was coming, and he showed up. And so when he's like, "Can we go talk somewhere?" She's like, "Sure, you did what you said you're going to do." Like I can see.
Yeah. But Rob Lowe also goes to that show and introduces himself to her,
and she's like, "Get a flyer at the door," right? Because he's trying to immediately go with the whole like, "I can offer you something. You could really, with my help." She's probably like, "Okay, I don't need your fucking help." You know what I mean? Like she's probably heard that a million times. But doesn't he say a word like a dog whistle word? What does he say to her? Calls her exotic or something that is like, all right, get the fuck out of my face.
I don't think he said exotic.
It's not exotic, but it's something like that where it's like, I'm watching it now. I'm like, yep, she had her freaking hackles up for that. Hackles?
Yeah, hackles.
Sure.
Cackles.
Okay, so they're on the roof, and I know they're about to have a whole conversation where there's going to be subtitles, and I know for a fucking fact I never read those in my life. This was the first time, and I'm like, oh, he's insightful. And then when she's laughing, I just assume she was laughing at him as a kid because he was like really doing the accent, like making funny noises, because I'm a stupid idiot American, And I'm like, no, he's saying something funny and insightful at those moments. So she's laughing. Go figure. I was just like, wow.
Yes. Now, but the joke also is like, but it's funny that Cantonese sounds funny, doesn't it?
I don't think so. I think it's more that he is so fucking like educated, like in saying stuff about philosophers and shit. And I think the joke is like, come on, would Wayne also be able to?
That's the joke too.
Yeah.
But you know, Mike Myers is like at a base level. It's funny to hear a white man do this voice
earnestly.
It will kind of sound like I'm making fun of it because I'm just doing. I'm saying these words.
Well, that makes it less meaningful for me. But yeah, I'm sure he got to have it both ways.
You get to have it exactly both ways. Because he's way more eloquent. Because he says something simple. It's just like, oh, wow, that sounds so good. And then they start talking about like, she's engaging in self-nullifying behavior and it's really sad to see. And
okay, well, that's my next point is that when there's someone this attractive in a movie especially during this time, they did not get to have a life outside of like the person they're introduced to in the movie, your hero. She has so much going on. She has a entirely separate life that you can see. She's talking to people in her band when he's there. Like she's going off to shoot a music video that he doesn't seem to know everything about, even though they're in a relationship. It's just like all this very nice, like, and she's super smart. Like it's not unearned. Like it doesn't happen so fast. You're like, what are they seeing each other? She's super thoughtful in this conversation and what the advice she's giving to him. And I never knew that as a kid because I refused to read.
Well, did you, when you were not reading as a kid, did you get the joke of him? He stops talking and the subtitles continue?
Yes.
Okay. I could not get a straight answer on, I assumed they did the work of actually getting Cantonese, real Cantonese and spelling it out phonetically for them. And, Tia Carrere is not a Cantonese speaker either. Or I don't think she is. Well, she was from Hawaii, but maybe her parents are. But I could not get a straight answer whether Mike Myers is actually doing real Cantonese or if he's just making sounds.
It just seems like it would be so undercutting what they're trying to do. I don't know. Yeah. If he's just making sounds, he's making very convincing ones. And if you're trying to make a joke with those sounds, you'd think they'd be a little more generic.
On The Simpsons, they always made a big deal of getting actual, if they would do Chinese or Japanese or Hindi, they would get an actual translation at a time where no one would notice people would notice, but there was no internet for people to complain about it. I would think they did that, but again, I don't know. And like there's Reddit boards about this where Cantonese speakers themselves are sort of arguing he doesn't make any sense. No, he's making sense to me. So it's like, it's not a straightforward thing that you can get an answer to.
Right. Like maybe they had a dialect coach, but it was just some guy, right? Like just some guy from a specific part of Asia that like, this is how my family would have said this. So maybe like not everyone's in agreement that it was perfectly right, but they didn't do all the work they needed to do, but they did make an effort. Right.
And they said, this person on Reddit said Rob Lowe is the best, is better than Mike Myers at Cantonese.
Rob Lowe's better at everything.
There's a lovely scene with Garth and Wayne. Mm-hmm. I am very proud of myself for saying Wayne and not Wade, my friend who I talk about a lot. But Wayne lying on the hood of the car, just staring at the stars, and Garth whistles the most beautiful Star Trek theme.
And Wayne is in such awe of his friend. And this has got to just be something Dana Carvey knows how to do.
I don't think he's doing it.
Are you sure? He's like vibrating and everything.
Well, it's definitely not. Then you're definitely not hearing what they recorded on set.
Oh, okay, fine.
And then he's like, sometimes I wish I could boldly go where no man's gone before, but I'll probably stay in Aurora. What are you thinking about? Cassandra. It's funny. It's so nice that they would like ask each other, what are you thinking about? Cassandra, she's such a babe. They describe how babelicious she is. And then Garth asks, did you ever find Bugs Bunny attractive when you put a dress on and play a girl bunny? And they both start laughing their asses off, but Garth is a little bit.
Right, because of course he asked the question because I think lots of guys found the girl version of Bugs Bunny attractive. She was supposed to be. But it has always disturbed me, and it disturbed me this time too. Mike Myers' laugh, it's a disturbing laugh. Is it supposed to be menacing? Because I think we're supposed to feel a little bit like dejected like Garth does here. And I don't know. I always took it as like, Wayne can be a little bit
Maybe.
Obtuse sometimes.
Yeah, no, I mean, and what he does when Garth actually gets mad at him, I am with you. I think Wayne is an asshole to not include Garth on leaving the show.
Right.
But then this plane flies over. I don't know if this is something people can you actually drive up so close to an airport that you can do this? If so, we need to do it. It looks awesome.
And I guarantee you that this movie caused that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. They go over to the TV studio. And I love how big a deal they make out of you don't say, you count down 5, 4, 3. You don't say the 2 and the 1.
Right.
And
like Wayne, you're still mouthing it. Oh, sorry.
yeah, I love them. I love them not being able to stop themselves from nodding along. Now, when I worked on a public TV show, there were some issues with my boss, who was not a trained TV guy. He did not know how to not look into the camera when he talked, instead of like looking at the guest who is on the table with him, or he was very bad at reading the teleprompter. It is weird. It is an unnatural thing to do.
But if you'd read the script a couple times before, the teleprompter is a prompt, not your script.
Well,
I
mean,
but I love the green screen part of "Hookalaka, come on, you want to lay me? Pass the point, mahalo. Come on, tell me where we are, and I'll tell you what they say.
Delaware.
Hi, I'm in Delaware.
What do they say in New York?
Hey, let's go to a Broadway show. Pass the gun. Hey, I can't remember. Hey, yo, pass the gun. We're going to a Broadway show. Something like that.
So the Vanderhoffs, Mr. Vanderhoff and his wife arrive, and Mr. Vanderhoff sits down at the couch with Wayne, and he's my favorite line in the movie. Wayne, I used to be in meatpacking. Lips and hoofs. I don't know. One of their friends tells him, hey, your wife's a babe, and they look a little pleased, like, oh, okay.
Yeah. The whole thing's lovely. And I love that Mr. Vanderhoff you never see him on screen find out that he was being made fun of, because I think he's also kind of a schmuck, or getting taken over here. And you meet his wife, and like, he's totally happy whenever she gets a compliment. Like, he's like, well, thanks.
No, they went home and had the best sex they've had in like 30 years.
It's a sweet relationship. He's a nice guy. He's fine. He's just a guy, and he's not the enemy. So he gets made fun of with the cards and everything. And it's really Benjamin that's getting stuck.
Mm-hmm.
It's not really about making fun of Mr. Vanderhoff.
Wayne and Garth play street hockey. Now, there was a period in my neighborhood where kids did play street hockey, so as a retort to that Canadian writer who thumbed his nose at us Americans. We know about street hockey.
We certainly played Foursquare in the street, and anytime a car would come, like, car, game on. I mean, yeah, this is what everyone said.
And I love, this is just where Garth is like, you ever get the feeling Benjamin's not one of us? And Wayne's like, good call. It's as if Benjamin wants us to be liked by everyone. But another instance of them starting to notice something and then kind of just forgetting about it, or just moving on.
All of this went over my head as a kid. All of it. I was like, wow, this is, all right. These guys are smart. And in my heads, they were like fumbled their way to a good result. Like, they weren't, what am I trying to say? They weren't really driving it with intelligence, but then I watch and I'm like, oh no, they're smart the whole time. Right.
So that is the contrast to Beavis and Butthead, who things happen to. They don't cause things to happen. All right. So there's a thing where Wayne picks up Cassandra. They're driving in the car, and he just goes, "Hey, Mickey, you're so fine," and she seems charmed by that. And then they reach a little lull, and it's awkward for a second. Is it supposed to seem awkward?
No, they both realize in that moment that they are the same kind of nerd. And
yes, that's it.
Yes, they both get like tingles because they play the little swelling Dreamweaver music to just the very beginning of it.
Oh, okay. Well, that's nice. Yeah, because then he puts in a CD in his new CD player, and they listen to Red Hot Chili Peppers, and they don't say anything, but they seem happy. They get to the guitar store. They admire the Fender. He plays the "May I Help You" riff and gets the employee to come out, and he's like, "Take the Strat out of the case."
My good man.
So I was on some guitar forums to learn about this guitar. It was indeed a vintage 1964 Fender Stratocaster. Fender was purchased in 1965 by CBS, the same CBS that produces television shows for your grandparents.
And I thought you meant like a pharmacy, like CB.
And that is when Fender started doing assembly line production of its guitars, leading to right now guitars like every Fender I've ever owned, which is we call it in the music biz, we call it a Mexican Fender, because it's produced assembly line style in Mexico, and that's why.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a slur. Okay, glad
No,
Lettuce
just
from
at a Mexican facility, and rather than the expensive ones which are made in America. But that's why people like me can afford to buy guitars, and yeah,
People like you, get out of here.
Pe-
You could afford this one too if you really wanted it.
no, I mean
People like you.
middle class people, yes, pieces of shit middle class kids. I'm not saying this
kids,
is
not you now. Just saying, don't pour mouth over there.
well. Okay, if I wanted to buy a $3,000 guitar, I could. That would be very ill-advised. We have other stuff we need to buy. So he gets the guitar out. He starts playing Stairway to Heaven, and the guy's like, hey, and points to the No Stairway to Heaven sign. And I think the only moment I dislike in the entire movie is Wayne then turning to the camera and saying, no stairway, denied. Just think like, hey, it is so much funnier if you just cut right after he points to the sign. But this is like the movie not having confidence that you understand that he just played Stairway to Heaven.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
Am I crazy?
Sure, but this is a problem with it being a load-bearing beam of mine. It's all baked in. It's like saying, wouldn't it be better if Grandma didn't have that back mole? I don't know. I kind of like it.
Garth starts playing Animal from the Muppet style drumming, and this is indeed Dana Carvey.
Yeah.
Drumming.
He famously can drum. He does it in some of his shows, in some of his comedy. He weaves that in.
Oh,
He can
sounds
also.
hilarious.
No, I know it's not. I just know that he can, so I'm assuming that's where I've seen it, because he also plays piano.
Sounds hilarious.
No,
too.
he's Dana Carvey has an amazing stand-up special. I assure you.
My dad has described many of them to me.
Chop and broccoli. Everyone still says chop and broccoli. He makes very funny songs, and he has funny Beatles joke while he plays piano. You'd like it. Fuck off.
Oh, but the thing about the guitar forms, this guitar, this is not a poor splurge for Wayne. If he held on to it, it'd be worth $20,000 today. So how about that?
Well, he didn't buy a case too, so I'm nervous for the guitar the whole time.
And he is just playing it everywhere. He's playing it at the donut shop.
People are going to take it from you.
At the craft services table, Rob Lowe comes up and he's like, guys, we need a change for the show that we've never done before. But we're going to make a change. Mr. Vanderhoff is going to be on the show every week. And then they start having the debate about selling out while products are in every single shot. And what do you think about this, Lacey? Is this funny?
I found it funny then, and now I find it funny as a time capsule just to see the old Pepsi can, the old Doritos bag.
The Doritos bag.
The phase of Reebok where it wasn't at Walmart, the majority of Reebok's life, it being a name brand, and now it's found a new life.
So when we get to the non-sexual sexual encounter between Wayne and Cassandra, I wrote down Wayne and Garth in my notes. Wayne and Garth, where they're in her bed, mostly clothed and just goofing on each other. Like, yes, of course, people goof.
I love it. This is my dad's favorite scene. Him humping the mummy. Or the knight, whatever it is. Not a mummy. Is it a mummy?
A mannequin?
Is it a mannequin? In my head, it was a mummy or a knight.
You have a mummy. She gets on the phone and he has to start doing physical comedy bits because it's like attention's not on me for a second. I need, no, pay attention to me. And this is when I realized Mike Myers must have been unbearable to date. Like charming for 2 days, and then he probably just becomes so mean and toxic once he no longer wants to do the bits or the bits aren't working on you anymore.
Yeah, well, now I'm uncomfortable. I always found their love very sweet.
Yeah, it is very sweet. I'm just saying, what do you think they're like 6 months from now?
Well, now all I know is Mike Myers is hard to be around, and I don't like it. You've ruined it for me. Is he married? Does someone like him? Are they okay?
I don't know.
Okay.
Gratuitous sex scene, it says on screen, as they very much do not have sex.
Which is the joke.
Oh, it's a joke.
Yeah, it's a funny movie. Because they are all being courted by Benjamin, they all go to a dinner. I guess this is really just a way for him to get Cassandra to see his apartment and to see he can speak Cantonese and all this shit. Because how else would you? She's too smart to accept an invitation up to his penthouse alone. And that's when, anyway, it's a beautiful terrace and he can speak words and all that shit. And then Garth again is like, this is weird. And he's like, what is going on with this? He's too good. And he goes and sits down and checks out the book collection. Is like, how to get babes, how to fuck. I don't know. It's funny. What else? What are they discussing here? I don't even remember what this dinner is for, except for to show how cool Benjamin is.
A toast to all of our success. Wayne and Garth, I've bought you backstage passes to Alice Cooper tomorrow night in Milwaukee.
Okay, it was to disarm all of them, because he's about to make his move to produce a music video with Cassandra with a really good excuse for why Wayne and Garth can't be there. They have to travel to go see this once in a lifetime opportunity concert, and they couldn't be more excited, and she's so excited for them, and she's pumped about her music. It's very, Benjamin, well played.
Mm-hmm.
I'm buying
but it's also like, if you play in Milwaukee, of course you're going to play in Chicago the next night, and he didn't get them tickets he needed them to go far away.
Right.
And you can't speak great Cantonese. Why don't I order Chinese? And of course, when you order Chinese food in America, you have to speak the language.
You just know the person on the other line is like, what?
Yeah.
I'm Mandarin. What?
And what he says is, I picked up some Cantonese when I worked briefly in the Orient. So he's even being a little racist in calling it that.
Yes. And then her music video is her in a jungle with a snake on her.
Yes.
It's like that.
You're right.
You wouldn't do that to a white person. I mean, I know Britney Spears does it, but that's because of this movie. There's no way she got that movie out.
That's an old idea, but it is like, it's not that you wouldn't do it with a white woman, but the fact that you're doing it with a non-white woman is like, you probably were like, ooh, that is exotic.
Yeah, yep. And she's so uncomfortable. You look hot. You look so smoking hot up there.
They go to Milwaukee and they just recreate Laverne and Shirley. I mean, this is like,
I love this scene.
Okay,
it's adorable.
It's nice. It's sweet to see them doing it, but I did realize, like, Family Guy. The difference between The Simpsons and Family Guy is Family Guy would also just be like, hey, let's literally just do Laverne and Shirley, whereas The Simpsons would be like, let's create something like Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah, but wait, The Simpsons is doing a spoof off of Wayne's World. Family Guy. Family Guy isn't doing Laverne and Shirley because of Laverne and Shirley. Doing because of this. It's an exact
I didn't
replica.
specifically mean Laverne and Shirley.
Well, I'm letting you know.
The only joke is we are just literally recreating something from TV.
I mean, look, we're two guys. We're being silly girls. Yeah. I take it as a celebration of it. I take it as them saying, like, no, this show actually was ahead of its time and kicked ass, and it was about like these really capable women. And maybe if you watch two guys doing it, you'll take it a little more seriously. And I'll bet they did make it a little more popular. Everything in this movie they managed to make a little more popular. But they even gave a boost to Alice Cooper's career.
Well, yeah, because they go to Alice Cooper and it's presented like this is the biggest fucking concert in the world. Alice Cooper,
it was he was a huge deal. He just didn't leave as big of a
in 1992.
For what he was, that's what I'm saying. Because he was not a controversial person. He wasn't really the character Alice Cooper when he was off of stage. He didn't like overstay his welcome in his career. It's like because he actually did everything the right way, he kind of gets forgotten. He didn't go then do a reality show like fucking Ozzy Osbourne, and he's not a terrible, like a horrible lech like fucking Kiss, and who could not stop touring. It's kind of what this movie's about, right? Like Alice did it for as long as he probably should have, and then stopped.
I think he is a huge conservative, though.
Damn it!
Well, people are allowed to be conservative. It's okay.
Well, but you present it as though it's not. I love him for this movie.
No, I know, but if you look up Alice Cooper quote, I'm sure we will find stuff and be like, oh no.
I'm going to now.
But this was written for Aerosmith because Aerosmith had been in a Wayne's World sketch on SNL and they didn't want to do it, so they got Alice Cooper instead.
Fuck him. I've always hated that guy.
Aerosmith, I know it's the thing about Aerosmith is like, boy, they had a lot of different eras where they were relevant. It really is remarkable. In 1992, they still would have been huge. They would have been like, we had a dip in the 80s and we came back in the late 80s and were more popular than we've ever been and are still producing songs that are chart-topping hits, which is insane. That would continue all the way through Jaded in 2001, which was also a huge hit. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
But this is Alice Cooper.
Anyway, and I just feels like it had to be in Milwaukee because there's a whole Milwaukee thing that people can never, ever not say if someone says the word Milwaukee.
And he has a great delivery of, isn't Milwaukee an Indian name?
Well, actually, Brad, it's not.
Well, yes, it is.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that. Alice is great in this scene. I had a huge affection for him because of this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yes, he's very funny.
Mm-hmm. And then whenever we're not worthy, which is their bit that they do on SNL, and he perfectly goes, kiss the ring. Yeah.
So they launched the show. The
Oh,
new
I'm sorry.
era of the show.
I talked about this scene as though it had already happened. The Sphincter Boy one. I thought when they went and saw them in the studios when that happened, I didn't realize it was another scene.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
The new corporatized Wayne's World, which honestly I think is pretty cool. I think the intro song's really cool.
Yeah, but if you're used to seeing them on public access and all of a sudden they have that voiceover guy and this, it's all too much. It's too many things.
Yeah, but you see, like Wayne would be able to handle it. Garth would not. Garth is there's an announcer now, and he's like, "So your name is pronounced Garth Algar, right?" And he's like, "Okay,
He's
Wayne."
He's like, "Okay."
But
I always thought the joke was that guy didn't know how to pronounce Garth. I'm like, his name's not Algar, and then. Now, as an adult, I understand he has a last name.
But, anytime you and I, Lacey, have to do something on this podcast that isn't like our normal thing, we also get flabbergasted and sputter and fight with each other and can't do it.
Correct.
It is hard. This is really hard to do this.
They're not in on the process. All these things are being done without consulting them, or they're not absorbing that it's happening. And it's just too much at once. It's not done with their brand in mind.
But Wayne writes insults on the back of his cue cards. He holds the cue cards up so everybody can see, and he gets tons of laughs.
You know what I never noticed? They are in late night TV chairs setting, like a sofa with a chair. But they're still set in what looks like a basement. They didn't keep the sofas.
Right. They didn't keep the sofa.
Yeah, that's a fucking weird change.
So Rob Lowe's like, "Wayne, come and talk to me." And Wayne's like, "I just did what I always do." And it's true. They always treat the guests like this, and everybody's happy. The guests are fine with it.
You're not going to run shit by me, and I'm not going to run shit by you. And if you actually watched more than one episode of my public access show, you'd know that this is what I do.
And it's also, I know everybody knows this. This always happens. Somebody like that's what Howard Stern's movie was all about, is why did you hire me if you hired me to do something that I don't do?
Right.
That's just a bad decision on your part. You're going to lose a lot of money because no one's going to like me the way you want me to be. But he just fires Wayne right away, and he's like, "What? And you can't take your show because I own the show." And then Wayne just leaves, leaving Garth alone on the sofa. And it's so sad for Garth.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time. Not. I remember this being a lot longer, that we had to watch Garth flail on by himself for a lot longer. But I read the Siskel and Ebert book last year. It's a great book by Matt Singer, and they started as a public access TV show, or public television TV show, and they kept like bumping up, like they'd won a new contract because they were very big, and several times they'd go to the network, and the network would be like, "We own At the Movies," or "We own whatever their show was called, and we can do it without you." And they're like, "Yeah, that's fine." And they would just go start a brand new TV show, call it something else. But it's like, yeah, people don't care what it's called. They care about the people on screen. And that's always something that like Suits seem to not understand.
All right, we'll call it Garth's World now, bitch.
So Garth tells Wayne that Wayne really pissed him off tonight. He's like, "Garth, you've never been mad at anything before in your life." But Wayne just...
I find that hard to believe.
Wayne walked off the set without telling Garth, or going to get him and being like, "Come on, Garth."
And it seems like they're going to have like an easy reconciliation. They just have such an easy friendship, such a natural one. But Wayne does not take criticism well. And Garth has a very valid complaint. And Wayne immediately gets immature with him. And all Wayne can think about is that he lost his show. He's not seeing that he could just recreate the show like you're talking about. And yeah, I mean, there's a big deal. I think something big happened to both of them. It's just that Garth had to sit with it longer and get embarrassed, and like he's already a person who has trouble with being alone in front of stuff and in front of an audience. I don't know. I feel like they both have valid reasons to be upset here. They just needed to kind of. They've never had any kind of confrontation or need to have a fight, so they just don't have the reps.
But it is like that friendship where you're like, God, my best friend is perfect, never has an opinion, never speaks up, never has a problem with anything. I just love him so much.
Laughs
and then finally
at my jokes, right.
He says one thing and you're like, whoa, man.
Yeah, and and you have to that doesn't mean that person, that means that you guys have a really good understanding and get who each other are. That's not a mistake that you don't really fight often. It's just there's probably a more dominating person than a person who's down to be there for the ride, and you've got, I don't know.
But I was relieved that they go their separate ways, but they reconcile very, very quickly, because I was
right. It's like we don't need a lot of
assuming like, there's going to be the moment where they get in the fight, but the movie gets really past it really quickly.
Yeah.
Then Wayne goes to Cassandra's apartment. She's leaving for Chicago, and he's like, "Wait, God, will Benjamin be there?" And she's like, "Yeah, he will. Maybe he's poking you."
And that's insulting.
Yes. And she says, "I think you better leave." And Wayne goes out and asks the camera, he's like, "What's going on? I lost my girl, my best friend, my show." And even the camera guy gets mad at him and starts walking.
And I love it because he's like, whoa. It's not all as bad as it seems. You know, like it's instantly positive again. Like this movie knows what it's doing right. We want to see happy guys.
Yes. And so Wayne sees Garth at the donut shop. He sits down next to him. He's like, "I'm sorry, I was wrong. Buds. That's it.
That's it. And now they hatch a plan at the hockey-inspired donut place, and the entire town rallies around them. I think it's so fucking cute.
It is.
I love it. And then they have their little Mission Impossible moment where Garth is, "I'm on my keys." Ow. I love it. And I guess all they're doing is just getting the equipment they need to run the show in the basement again.
Well, they're gonna do their show again from the basement. What they want to do is have Cassandra's band play on the show, and then they met Chris Farley at the
Alice Cooper
show, who said, "Here's some helpful information about that limo." And
Mr. Big,
an important record executive, drives around in there, and he'll be swinging through Chicago soon.
Right, but I think what they needed from the studio was something powerful enough to boost their signal so that he could get it was something
they had to hack a satellite and jack into a mainframe and stuff.
Right, they jacked it to the main.
So Wayne goes, he's on his way to go, win Cassandra back at her music video shoot, but first gets pulled over by Robert Patrick from Terminator
Which
2
I did not get. If I had a complaint as a kid, I'm always like, that scene could be removed. It doesn't go anywhere. And like, why did he? And they showed the picture of the boy, and I pause it, and when you pause the VHS, it's like, and like, who is
makes
that?
Even less sense.
Who is? I don't like. I fucking hate it. And my dad wasn't being fucking helpful because he'd never seen the fucking Terminator 2 movie. Fucking idiot.
But now you just watched it relatively recently.
Yeah, that was helpful.
Did you like it?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah, because when we did our episode on it 5 years ago, you said, "This is stupid. Put on a bra."
No, I got over it. The bra. I don't love that she didn't. Don't bait me. She needs a bra, but I saw her badassness, and shut up, Matt. I'm not talking about this right now.
It's so great that he Robert Patrick just totally plays the character and just continues to walk menacingly. Yeah, there's no reason for this scene. That's why it's great.
Fine, but when you don't know what it's a reference to, it's really confusing.
And he did this again in Last Action Hero 2 years later. I think he might have played this character again in something else as a joke.
Do you think at cons he just pulls people over who are walking around the con?
Yes, I do. He's probably he's like, I've been working as an actor for 50 years. I was on the X-Files, goddammit. But yeah, I'm just the liquid Terminator to you people. So Wayne arrives at the music video shoot, but his attempts to what happens? He tries to win her back, but she's like, "Wayne, I think you should leave." And then Rob Lowe touches her butt or something.
Well, no. So Wayne swoops in there and he's making the mistake again of not acting like she's capable. He comes up there like he's saving her when she's fine. She's just having an aggravating music shoot. Nothing's going wrong or right. But he comes up in there and he's trying to be a controlling boyfriend, which is not what she's going to have. And come on, we're going. I'm in the middle of this shit. And anyway, it's quick, but it's not ugly. It's just not what you think is going to happen when they're on their hero's journey. So he's not mean or anything. He's just he's not convincing. But there's still charm there. Oh, right. Then he starts to break down, right? Like, I'm not all right. Like he does a whole he does a whole Oscar thing, right? Where he pours his heart out, and they do the joke where at the end of it, everyone's just staring at him and right. And they move on. And then that's why he turns around and goes, right. Okay. I was wondering, why does she forgive him so quickly and so immediately? But she does it on her terms. Okay. Then he walks away, but he doesn't leave yet. And Benjamin walks up to her to console her by saying he's so replaceable or something, not the right thing. And then the snake goes down from out of Benjamin's hand and down her shirt. And she says, "Is that you? or the snake? And she realizes in that moment they are one and the same.
He is the snake that
Yes.
has infiltrated our garden.
Yes. And so she's like, Wayne, wait, no, Campbell, wait up. I sound just like her.
And when I came up with this Garden of Eden thing, I totally forgot about the snake.
Yeah. But like he's even dressed like, I mean, they look alike, the snake and Benjamin.
You're right, they do. And this is okay, that was a great point you just made, that Wayne is like, you're like a lady who doesn't even realize you're being duped. This isn't an actual music video shoot. Where's your band? She's like, they're right there.
Hey, Wayne. It's like,
there's no camera. There's no film in this camera. And then film.
yes, that was it. Okay, sorry. I know this movie so well, and I couldn't remember. I just knew he made an unconvincing thing, and that it was insulting. It's like, no, I'm good enough for someone to offer me a music video. But in this industry, that also means I'm going to get hit on. And maybe sometimes my deal will crumble because I don't respond to it, but I'm just going to fuck who I want to, whether it gets me the deal or not. And I need to be trusted because I'm not going to stop being hot, and I'm not going to stop being good at singing and wanting to sing for a living.
And a woman director would know that there'd be a dumb little patronizing thing of like, even though I guess he is a TV guy, so he's like, you're gonna come onto a set and tell me I don't actually know what's going on the set, that I don't know that it's not a real set, that it's a fake set, it's a fake shoot.
Right. Benjamin has money, but why would he do this just to get in her pants? And like, she's just not stupid. She did all of this carefully, and she needs to. She sees how much he cares, because then he's never afraid to act really freaking stupid and have big gestures, and that makes him very unique to her. So she's training him.
Mm-hmm. She goes with him,
teaching him.
Then we see the Garth leading the assault team to hack into the satellite, and Russell, Rob Lowe's partner, finds them. And he's like, what are you doing? And Garth even wins him over. And he's like, Benjamin sucks. He's just using you. And see, everybody becomes their friend. Everybody becomes their ally. They're like the Fast and Furious. Yeah. Every enemy eventually joins the Toretto family, because you just have to. What are you going to not do it? Even Rob Lowe does it in the last shot of the movie.
Right.
Rob Lowe gets sexually assaulted by the cop. And then the last
very humbling for him.
Sequence of the movie is Mr. Big watching Cassandra perform in Wayne's basement, and he arrives at the house and shakes her hand. He's like, you're very beautiful and I congratulate you, but I'm just not interested, and then leaves. And they're all like, wait, what? What the fuck is going on? No.
Yeah.
The house catches on fire. It explodes. It burns down. And then we cut to an island where Cassandra and Benjamin have just had the most epic sex of all time. They're still talking about it the next morning.
You were incredible. Blah.
And then they're like, oh, this isn't any good. Let's try the Scooby-Doo ending. And so they do. They pull Rob Lowe's mask off, and he's the amusement park owner who had been set up earlier in the movie.
Yes, he had.
Let's try it one more time with the mega happy ending. This time, Cassandra gets a 6-album deal. Wayne and Cassandra kiss. The Dream Woman arrives to kiss Garth. And then even Rob Lowe's like, and I've learned that, something. Consumerism isn't everything.
Right. And then they ended with fish ears, which I guess, like, gotcha. You're easy to catch. I don't know what the fuck fish ears are,
they
but
must have done it in the sketch show.
They had to have.
Because they would do the things like extreme close up. Yeah. So just do that, and then the movie's just over. That's that.
Yep.
Go home. Fuck you.
Are you still here?
Well, I'll go first.
Okay, then.
I think this is a great movie, a great comedy, great movie. Talking about it has made me appreciate it even more. And one of the great comedies of the 90s. I think there's way more going on in the movie than you might think. I think it is dealing with, at the dawn of the 90s, as the Clinton era approaches, and we totally surrender to the capitalist hell world. I mean, what does Rob Lowe say when they go up to his apartment and Tia Carrere's like, I feel so free up here. And he says,
well, it costs a lot to live this way.
Costs a lot to live free. And that's the whole fucking thing.
He says it costs a lot to live this way.
This free, he says, that's
Oh, this sounds
Very pointed. It costs a lot to live this free. That's also what America is saying.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to be a fucking commie? You want the Soviets coming in? No. It costs a lot to live in the land of the free. This movie's about America. This movie's
got
about
to be brave.
everything. What'll it take to be brave?
Brave.
Danke. 5 stars. Great movie.
Oh, Matt! I was nervous, so I gave it 4.5. Man,
I just like it more than you.
this is fucked. I love this movie now just as much as I loved it then. I was worried this wouldn't hold up or be super cringy. It was not. In fact, maybe even ahead of its time. Party on, Wayne. That's my letterbox review. I should have put Party on Garth, but I was sick of typing. And now talking to you and understanding all the capitalist shit, well, fuck, it's a masterpiece. Damn it! I'll watch it again so I can legitimately add a 0.5 star. This is bullshit. I don't know why I want my ratings to match yours, but I certainly can't have you. Is this the first time you rated one of my beams higher than I did? Viewers, listeners, write in. Listen in. All right, next is I Love You.
Do you relate to Wayne and Garth? Because we kind of have a Wayne's World. We have a little rinky-dink operation. We have a small fan base, but we
never get spotted in public.
Yeah, no. I want one Benjamin to come and try
Just
and make us sell out. Lacey and I have already made a pact. We're not selling out.
Oh,
but
no, I don't need a Benjamin. I just need one person to be like, I listen to y'all. Yes!
In the physical world.
In the physical world.
Because we do meet people.
I mean, I know that, but I want it to happen in the street.
Yeah.
I'm going to, maybe I need to spend more time in the streets.
Less in the sheets. You're always sleeping.
With you horn dog.
Lacey. All right, what's next? What's coming up next?
Very excited. It's I Love You, Man. I remember loving this movie, and that's with our beautiful boy Wade coming here.
Wade Hymel coming in here. It's his movie, I Love You, Man. I love that man. And we're very excited because our summer miniseries will be coming up this summer. Long time. If you've been with us
since the Spielberg years.
Yeah, you know that we change up the format of our show for the summer. We have a theme. We stick to one person, and we are going to announce what our summer miniseries will be. And we will debut our new theme song for the summer next week with Wade, because Wade recorded the song with us. And he needs to be here for that.
Played some instruments-ish and some vocals and helped us have the ideas.
That's right. I Love You, Man, coming out on May 30th, 2025. Please tell a friend about this show. Say this podcast will change your life. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Check out my video about the only Disney movie, the only Disney animated feature that isn't on Disney Plus. Now, you might see that title and be like, oh yeah, what about Song of the South? Oh yeah, what about all this? Don't correct me.
Don't correct him. He put a lot of work into it, just not all the work.
No, I'm right and you're not.
He's right.
I'm not. I'm only talking about Disney animated features and the Disney official.
I have the most right husband.
At least with this.
Yes.
Yes. I'm on Letterboxd at Matt Stokes 9. Lacey's on Letterboxd at Loadbringing Lacey. Check out my band Rural Route 9. We do the music for this show. Rural Route 9.
Okay.
Party on.
I love you. Goodbye.
Three, four. Everybody, love me.